Yeah, you would think after all of the waves, Kate Baldwin, after the last few months, the first 5 months of the Donald Trump presidency, right, the first 4 months of the Donald Trump presidency, that you expect that Democrats would have this massive lead on the economy. It ain't so. It ain't so. The party that is closest to your economic views, in November of 2023, it was the Republicans by 11 points. Now it's still within that range, still within that margin of error. Plus 8-point advantage for the Republican Party. How is that possible, Democrats? How is that possible after all the recession fears, after the stock market's been doing all of this, after all the tariffs that Americans are against, and Republicans still hold an 8-point lead on the economy? Are you kidding me?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise. We got to check out this interview. Megyn Kelly, Stephen A. Smith. We got to check it out, man. Democrats are slowly but surely losing their decades-long political grip on the black Americans. And folks, the panic is real. You can feel it. You can see the media spin, the polling numbers. And now even in mainstream interviews, you got Megyn Kelly sat down with Stephen A. Smith. And let's just say, I don't think either one of them held back, but we're going to check it out. Look, in 2020, Joe Biden, he got 87% of the black vote. 87% of the black vote. It's just crazy to me that that was the case. But that support has dropped below 80%, with black men in particular shifting right in droves. And that number is historic, and it's scaring the heck out of these Democrats. They're scrambling to repackage the same tired promises while the community is waking up saying, what have you guys actually done for us? Let's get into this clip here, man. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Without further ado, let's check it out.
Trump's numbers are going up across the board. Republicans' numbers are going up when it comes to the economy, which was a shocker, you could see there, to the CNN team. Love that Harry Enten. But they thought it would go down because of the tariffs, and all the coverage of Trump on the economy so far has been negative, saying he doesn't know what he's doing and why isn't he fighting prices. Meanwhile, inflation's down. I think it's 2.3% now. In any event, what do you make of the turn in fortunes for him? We talked about in the first hour, Trafalgar now has him up 8 percentage points in his approval rating to a net of 54%, which he's never hit before.
Well, to me, it's an indictment against the Democratic Party. And I think that a lot of times people are looking at me, Megyn, and they're saying, well, you know what, he's just attacking Democrats or what have you. And I said, it's not just that simple. And I'm going to tell you this, Megyn, and I've never had this conversation with you before, but I think that what people don't realize is that as a black man, you do find yourself getting offended at what we've seen from the Democratic Party. So since 1964, since you had Civil Rights Act and then ultimately the Voting Rights Act and then, you know, the Fair Housing in 1968 and stuff like that, we heard quotes supposedly, purportedly from Lyndon B. Johnson at the time that, you know what, we passed this in the law, we'll have the Negroes voting for us for the next 200 years. Well, it's been over 50, over 60 actually, and for the most part, they've been right. And so I've often said this, because we've been so transparent in our support for the Democratic Party, there's a reason why the black community, by and large, has been considered disenfranchised. Because on one hand, we have a party that takes us for granted because they know they're going to get our vote and they never really had to cater to us. And on the other side, we've alienated a party who, by the way, played a role in pushing civil rights and voting rights legislation in the law in the 60s. And we basically said to hell with you. So as a result, they turned around and said, we're not going to have their support anyway. So you have one party taking us for granted. You have another party assuming they'll never get our support, and we get no representation.
Stephen A. Smith is absolutely right here. He's absolutely right. But I got a question. I got a question to ask in reference to what he just mentioned. The Republican Party, basically supported every civil rights act in mass that's ever been, implemented and enacted into law, right? Why has the Republican Party done such a poor job in marketing that to the black community? Because what he just articulated, I don't think most people know that in the black community. Hell, I don't think most people know it, period, across the country. Everybody knows that Lyndon Baines Johnson, he signed the last two in the law. No one actually knows what it took for it to even get to his desk. So why hadn't the Republican Party done a better job at marketing itself to the black community, showcasing what role they actually played in the civil rights movement?
about what's transpiring right now with Trump's ascension or return to the White House. What I do like about what has transpired is that it's put the Democratic Party in a position where you no longer get to take us or various communities for granted. You got to go out there and earn our vote. You can't get moralistic and sit on your sanctimonious chair and acting as if you're above reproach. I watched you, and I've watched you interview many, many people. And again, I don't agree with you 100% of the time. I don't expect you to agree with me 100% of the time. But I respect the hell out of your integrity and what you bring to your show every day. And I watch it every chance I get, to be quite honest with you, because I'm always learning something. But I love how you are not afraid to hold people accountable on a personal level in terms of how they make you feel about things that they say, the policies that they push forth, the things that they've tried to implement. And that's what I'm paying attention to now. Do I like Doge with Elon Musk and his soar and what he was and how he was? I don't like that visual. I sense a flagrant level of insensitivity to federal employees and others who rely on those jobs and what have you. But with $37 trillion in debt, there is no question that waste, fraud, etc. exist, and it needed to be addressed. Did he do the right things? Did he point out the right targets? I don't know. History will show us whether he was accurate in doing so or not. We're looking at Trump, his war on tariffs. I told you from Jump Street, Megan, I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that he was going after everybody. Go after China. You want to go after China, go after China. But don't turn allies into enemies that could potentially side with China. He made me nervous with that. Now, again, I don't know. This is what I was seeing and saying, wait a minute, I'm a bit worried here. Don't know if this is accurate or not. But then when I see so many pundits from the left and they're talking about how awful all of this was, I took the liberty just looking at some things, and I'm saying, you know what? You're not going to cut but so much into spending when it's $37 trillion in debt. You're creating new jobs. You got $8 trillion in commitments from corporations, okay? You got oil that's, we're drilling here in the States, as they say. There's a plethora of other things that's taking place that are going to contribute to the economy, that's going to contribute to other people being employed. This is what we're hoping for. If it doesn't work, I'll be up here saying it didn't work. I think Megyn Kelly will be up here saying it didn't work, damn it. But we can't knock them for trying, because what was the other side doing?
Absolutely. That's the biggest issue right there. I think that's the one of the biggest talking points out there that you don't hear from the other side. And when I say the other side, I'm talking about mainstream media, is that at least they are trying to address the issues. They're trying to address the waste, the fraud, the bloated bureaucracies that we have, in DC, and in these federal agencies. They're also trying to address the fact that we're being robbed and pillaged. You know what I'm saying? Robbed and pillaged from other countries that are, quote unquote, supposed to be our allies, but everybody's making a dollar off of us. No one wants to address it. And the only solve that Democrats tend to have is, hey, we're just going to increase revenue, meaning we're going to raise taxes on the American people. That's the only solution that they had. I hadn't heard anything else from them on how they're going to address the $37 trillion deficit. Now, again, as Stephen A. Smith articulated, it may not work. This Doge, them going in and cutting and doing what they're doing, getting the tariffs and trying to get more money into the country in another way other than taxing the citizens into oblivion, or trying to raise corporate tax where it just doesn't make sense for someone to own a business. That can't be the solve always. Somebody has to try something. And I appreciate the fact that President Trump and this administration is at least attempting to try something different. They're outside of the box right now in comparison to what we've seen in DC.
Building debt, and while you were doing so, you were trying to guilt us into voting for you by throwing as much haterade as possible on that guy instead of highlighting for us what made you the better candidate. And when I think about it from that perspective, I get really, really upset. And I know a lot of black folks and a lot of minorities in this country who get very, very upset because we want to get to a point where your policy against their policy, what's best for America? What you got? And we're not seeing that. And as a result, Trump's able to come in there and say, to hell with all of y'all, this is what I'm going to do. And there's little that anybody can say until we show us fails.
Exactly. I don't think the average American that supported the Democrat Party, that supported Kamala Harris, I don't think they could tell you what her actual plan was, what the policies were. They ran on Trump bad, vote for us. Trump bad, vote for us. Trump bad, vote for us. That's what they ran on. They didn't even they think about how disrespectful that is to tell your constituents, we're not even telling you what we're planning on doing. Just y'all better vote for us because the other guy is a bad person. Do you understand how disrespectful that is to one's intelligence? And that's what they think. You know, they don't think that their constituents, they don't think that these people are smart enough to understand what they want to do. Or their plan is so diabolical, it's so destructive to the American people, to America in itself, that they don't want to tell you because the policies are meant to actually destroy the nation. So yeah, we don't want to tell you what we're planning on doing. You just need to support us because the other side is bad. That's a terrible way to run your party. It's a terrible way to do it. And the people are waking up to it.
You can't stick with a haterade forever. You know, every once in a while you need some nice tea.
That's right.
However, we're getting something very different still from top Democrats like Tim Walz, who has got a different plan for the Democrats to improve on these numbers. And here is part of it. SOT 17.
Called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. The governor's being mean and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. We have to ferociously push back on this. And again, I'll speak to my teacher colleagues in here. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back. You push back. You make sure they know it's not there. Because at heart, this is a weak, cruel man that takes it out and punches down on people.
Here we go again, Stephen A. He's a wannabe dictator. You need to bully the shit out of him. We need to be meaner. We need to be fierce, which is literally like a word that my young children rejected about 3 years ago.
I don't mind. I don't mind, Megan, to be honest with you, as long as you have policies to back it up. Because you see, we can talk about Donald Trump bloviating all we want to. And by the way, I don't like him suing media and going after folks and feeling as if you're compelled to agree with him and to not insult him. Otherwise, he's going to target you. I do think that's petty from time to time. And I do think that he should be better than that. But in the same breath, if I'm looking at you and I'm saying, it's not like I told you, I wrote stuff down. This is big, beautiful New Deal and all of this other stuff. Well, guess what? $8 trillion in pledged U.S. jobs, tax cuts on small businesses, fair trade, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, makes 2017, tax breaks are permanent, deregulation, no more green energy subsidies. These are the kind of things that I just wrote down. If I'm wrong about anything that I said, Megan, please tell me and I'll correct myself. But when I hear that, I'm like, okay, I don't like how he acts sometimes. I don't like how juvenile he comes across sometimes. But I know it's more important that I hear that, what I just read off to you. I know it's more important to the American citizen. I know it's more important to the voter. And what do you have to offer if you're the other side? See, that's the whole point.
We're fierce.
Right, you can talk. Well, listen, you talk about being fierce. Well, you just got your ass kicked in the election. Right. Okay, I mean, I don't really want to hear that.
Kamala Harris was literally out there last week in Australia saying, I eat no for breakfast. Okay, you were delivered no on a silver platter by the American voters.
And here's the deal. But this is what they're holding on to. He got 49.8% of the vote. We got 48.3%. We only lost by 1.5 percentage points, and neither side got 50% of the vote. So guess what? It's not a mandate. The man won young voters. He got more black voters. He got more young voters. He won every swing state. He won the popular vote for the Republican Party for the first time since 2004. I mean, damn, what do you need in order for there to be labeled a mandate? I don't understand it. But nevertheless, in a loss, to reflect upon the loss and to talk about pushing back on them, that's all you got? And oh, by the way, if that is what you really, really feel, how come you didn't do it during the campaign? How come you didn't do it when you were on the debate stage versus J.D. Vance? I mean, if there was ever a kumbaya moment in politics, it was him against J.D. Vance. I mean, they did everything but hug and kiss one another. I mean, this is what was going on. They even parodied it on Saturday Night Live. I mean, this is how funny it was. And so when you're looking at it from that standpoint, where was all of that when you had the ear of the Democratic presidential nominee, that is Kamala Harris? Where was all of that then? We don't want, I respect Tim Walsh, the governor of Minnesota. I get what you bring to the table, whatever that may be. God bless you. But you had an opportunity to make all of this noise before. And if you missed out on it, we certainly don't want to hear from you now. That, in sports parlance, Megan, that is the equivalent of losing the championship by getting swept and then going to talk shit about the opponent. How'd that work?
Right.
You had an opportunity to beat him.
They ran by calling Trump a dictator, comparing him to a Nazi, to calling him Hitler. Like, how much meaner do they think they should get? I don't understand where's the extra room for them to get even meaner, a little meaner, more fierce, and to bully the shit out of him. How do you do that in a way that they didn't already do that?
I don't know how you're going to do that, but more importantly, I don't know why you would think that would work, considering how we've shown you, we felt about you during the election. Even people like me who voted for her, I didn't like his incivility. I thought the presidency was a statesmanship position. But in the same breath, I was hopeful that she would be somebody that would work across the aisle and that you would be able to police some things that was going on the left. I regret that. Okay.
Yes.
Not to say that I would vote for him, but I certainly don't like the thought of voting for her. And so
This
I'm
is
looking
such a
at our
fun
politics.
thread.
Oh, man. Wow. Even Stephen A. Smith is coming out now saying that he regrets voting for Kamala Harris. He can't go on a record and say, hey, man, I regret voting for Harris and I would definitely support Trump. But based off of what he just described, he's letting us know that, hey, these dudes got policy. And the last time I checked, the president, I mean, I'm not up there, upper echelon individual. The last time I checked, we ain't getting no dinners with the president. You're not getting any dinners with most of these folks, in the Senate or in the House. So we just look at you not off of your personality, because I don't really care about that. I only care about the policies. Are you planning to implement policies that are going to help us? Seriously. The previous administration ran the country into the ground. And if they'd have got another 4 years, this country would have been done. Would have been done for. The economy needs a shot in the arm. This bill, I believe, is going to help it. Now, there are some things that I don't necessarily agree about when it comes to this bill. We discussed it in the live stream this morning. But there are some things that I do think that are great. There's no tax on tips. There's no tax on overtime. Huge. Cutting those corporate taxes, cutting taxes on small business. Huge. I mean, people got to understand that, man. Business, small business, backbone of the nation. It's going to, cutting those taxes is going to open up small business, the ability to hire more people. It's going to open up an opportunity for, the larger businesses to really jump back into, innovation and increase productivity. We seen what happened, we seen what happened when you did this back in 17, 18. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to us getting back to that. I am. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are, on this interview, anything that Stephen A. said. I know he flip-flops back and forth. We don't really know who he is and where he stands at for real. But I do appreciate the talking points here. And it sounds like he's starting to come around. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. That link's in the description box below if you'd like to support this channel financially. Join us Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. One of the best chats, one of the livest shows, on all of YouTube. If it's your first time pulling up, please let me know in the chat so we can make sure we properly greet you and show you some love. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the